There's a place where the living and the dead trade whispers.
Where shadows don't just follow, they watch.
Where one thin barrier holds back what waits on the other side.
You've stepped into the veil between. What you're about to hear drifts between fact, belief, and the unknown. The veil between is for entertainment purposes only.
Our stories, research, and experiences are our own, not medical, legal, or professional advice.
So step carefully, and remember, the choice to believe is always yours.
Welcome back to the Veil Between podcast, fam. Today's topic, we're going to talk about a topic that was suggested to us by Chad.
Hey, Chad.
He wants to know about Fae. He wants us to talk about the different types of Fae, because I think we had hinted on it before in a previous episode.
Yeah. We hit on a lot of things, so I sometimes tend to forget.
I know, all the
But
tangents.
I'm glad that the viewers out there are
Enjoying our
keeping
tangents.
us on our toes and enjoying themselves and, making the requests of the stuff they want to learn. And we got to give the people what they want, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. Okay, cool. So, like we said, we did hint at certain things, one of them being the Yeti, the Sasquatch, Bigfoot, you believe is a Fae. And speaking of the Bigfoot, you're doing the latest season, like your second season, right, of your Monster Brawl.
Monster Brawl, yeah.
And he made an appearance.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good. He's made it so far, I believe, to the semifinal rounds.
Okay.
This one was much longer than the first one. I only had I believe 8 monsters. This previous one it was huge. It's way more than that. We're doing, I think, 4 rounds. So last time it was only 3 rounds. Now it's 4 rounds. So it's much bigger. And so if anyone's seen a tournament bracket, they're huge when you go, the more rounds you have, once you start hitting 4, these get huge. And he's doing really good, but I don't know, the Jersey Devil, another Fae creature, or a creature I believe is from the Fae. I believe that the Jersey Devil is going to win it completely. So Holly Knightley out there, probably my friend Holly Knightley, fellow author, she'll probably enjoy that fact very much because she's a Jersey girl, and that's her hometown cryptid. But I'm rooting personally for the Thunderbird.
Who went up against the Jersey Devil?
The Jersey Devil defeated the Chupacabra.
I was very upset about that.
Yeah.
I was like, does no one like the Chupacabra?
And didn't just defeat the Chupacabra.
Oh, stomped it.
Stomped it out. I was like, oh, my poor Chupacabra, because we're from San Diego. That's a big, Chupacabra's big out here.
Huge. And coming from a Latin family, well, you come from a Latin family too. We know, that's personal to us.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Among many other cultures in my family. But yeah, it was personal. I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah, but the dang Jersey Devil skull dragged the poor Chupacabra. So the only cryptid we have left now from the Southwest, California and the Southwest, is the Thunderbirds. I'm hoping the Thunderbird wins, but we'll see what happens. But the Jersey Devil is on an absolute tear right now and has been dominating every single competition it's been in. It even went up against the Dogman, which I believe was going to be a very tough battle, but nope, the Jersey Devil came out on top again. So I think the Jersey Devil has a strong chance to win the Monster Brawl this round. I don't want it to win. No offense to Holly, the other Jersey Devil fans out there, but it's not up to me. You vote on the polls and you decide. So I personally want the Thunderbird to win, but we'll see what happens. It's getting interesting. Things are heating up right now, especially as we draw close towards the finals.
Okay. Well, if you haven't been voting, check it out. It's on Guy's Instagram.
Yes, a lot of fun. Each week we come out with a new one. I don't plan these things. It's just random. I come up with the amount of monsters that I want, and then I just throw them all in there. It's a roll of a dice to figure out where they're going to go.
Well, you select the monsters.
Well, I select the monsters, of course, but where they go after that is up to you. You vote, and they move on to the next bracket, and they take on their next opposition. It's pretty interesting to see everyone's opinions on it, and you can vote based on whatever you like. I think they're cool, and that's the only reason why I'm voting for them. That's fine. Oh, I think this one would actually beat this one in the fight.
That's how I'm voting. Which do I think would actually win?
Yeah, or
in a fight. It's supposed to be the Monster Brawl.
Yeah, or hey, this one's from my hometown. I'm going with it. So that's all.
I mean, that is how people bet on fights and stuff.
Yeah.
If it's their
hometown hero, then they're voting for their hometown hero. So if it's their hometown cryptid or monster, hey, it's whatever you want. So it's all in good fun though.
So the first season was, I think it was just
classic monsters.
Random. Yeah, it was
the classic monsters.
Okay. And then this season is cryptids?
Cryptids.
So of the monsters that you have, the cryptids, which ones specifically, we already talked about Sasquatch or Bigfoot, which ones specifically, in addition to the Bigfoot, do you think are Fae?
So that's a tricky question because Fae are a very complex nomenclature of entity, very complex, more complex than your run of the mill demon. I would dare say that. Or your demon that owes allegiance to the infernal court, which is a completely different faction. When you're dealing with these entities, it's really very difficult to try to label the nomenclatures behind it. But if I had to give a rough guess of which ones were, would be the Bigfoot, of course. The Jersey Devil, I believe, is a Fae creature. The Dog Man is a Fae creature.
Really?
Yeah, the Dog Man is believed to be a Fae creature. And the Thunderbird, I believe, is a Fae creature as well. And not all Fae creatures are humanoid. Some of them can also be more animalistic, more bestial. So that's one of the things that a lot of people confuse with the Fae. Not all of them are humanoid in appearance. And the other one would likely be the mermaid. Is definitely a Fae creature. It's an ocean-dwelling Fae creature, but still a Fae creature nonetheless. Fae creatures come from all aspects of nature.
Because they're rooted in nature,
Yeah.
right?
A lot of them, not all of them, are rooted into nature. So a lot of them are aspects of nature that have actually been manifested by a cognizance that has arisen from nature. So that's where a lot
Like
of
an elemental
Yeah,
or
very close to an elemental. Yeah, elementals are close to it. Elementals are more, instead of being based upon the actual features of nature itself, it's more elemental in a sense where it's dealing with the main elements of creation. So I guess let's kick this episode off. We're
yeah.
going into the Fae. So the Fae are an extremely difficult nomenclature of creature to try to nail down. There's a quote, an arcane quote when it comes to dealing with the Fae, and it goes like this: I can't tell you what I'm saying is guaranteed, but I can't guarantee what I'm saying. So it's kind of an old Fae kind of quote where they kind of say things forward and backwards. That's one of the things they do. It's very tricky, right?
Yeah, they tend to speak in riddles.
Yeah, they speak in riddles. They say things forward and backwards. When I was young, we used to study a lot about these creatures of the world, from mythology, from religious and spiritual point of view, from different cultures and aspects. That was probably the fun part of my training because a lot of people don't understand that being a magician is extremely boring. But reading about monsters and all these little creatures and stuff like that, I found very exciting. I always been fascinated with it. I took world religions and Greek mythology courses while I was in college, and I've always been fascinated with. So that was the fun part for me, opening up grimoires and bestiaries and all that stuff and learning about all these different creatures out there. And you start to realize that there is a vast quantity of otherworldly beings out there. And then you start to question if what I'm initially told about them, because when you read the stories, some of them are benevolent, some of them are malevolent, some of them are just neutral. And to not throw the baby out with the bathwater, I stopped going with the initial thing that I was taught by my family, which was very reductive in a sense where they're all demons, approach them with complete hostility and banish them, right? Normally, I would take that approach with the infernal court. I don't play with those. If I recognize that it's a member of the infernal court, servant of Lucifer and the demonic orders, and the demonic infernal orders, they have to go, right? These are different types of entities, disembodied spirits that seek to possess people and do foul stuff. Those you don't play with. I would say not to play with the Fae either, but approach it with a little more cordiality. Be more cordial in how you approach this, because sometimes they don't even mean to be hostile.
I think the lore suggests that they're tricksters, but I think that the lore, if you look at the stories, they only act out when somebody disrespects them.
The thing about the Fae, when I was studying the Fae, that I learned is that there is because they're nature based, most of them are nature based. Some of them are actually light based as well and shadow based. But because of that, they don't have a human logic. The logic that we would apply to how they react and think and do things is completely contrary to what actually transpires. This is the reason why a lot of humans who interact with them usually end up having bad interactions, is most of it's a cultural misunderstanding. So it's like if you were to go to another culture, we'll say you go to Japan, they take their shoes off when you go inside. It's not something that's common here in the United States. And some people believe otherwise. If you're visiting someone, you keep your shoes on. right? It's just like that. There's different cultural norms amongst them, but within the Fae community, it's drastically different than anything we can anticipate. And because they're so secretive, we have no idea what to anticipate when we have dealings with that world. The Fae also don't have, well, like I said previously, a human logic. Their logic's very different. Their logic is more based in predilections that are more open and aware. So the things that they see and do are a lot different than how we see and do things because they are extra dimensional creatures. But also the Fae are of nature. So they don't have the same temperament that we do, right? So sometimes we would let things slide. Certain slights, things like that, we would let it slide for the sake of being cordial towards one another. Fae don't do that. Once you upset them, there's a thin line with them. Once you upset them, you will see the other side of them, right? The duality of nature. It's beautiful, it's flourishing, and nature can also be very brutal. So when you're dealing with these entities, that's what they're pretty much like that. You're dealing with an aspect of nature. You're not necessarily dealing with something that you can logically, or from human logic, it's not dealing with something you can reason with in the same sense. But that does not mean that they lack intelligence. They're extremely intelligent. So that's where people get a lot of misconceptions, where they can make deals with the Fae, and they usually end up losing out on those deals because you're dealing with something that's far more intelligent and older than you are, which I've warned people not to deal with these entities. The Fae are still demons. They're still demonic, but demonic in a sense of the traditional definition of demons. So the Christian definition of demons is the infernal court. We tend to throw them all into the infernal court, and that's not necessarily who they serve. This is where it becomes tricky. So they're demons in a sense where they're not human, they're not animal, they're not angel, they're spirits. So somewhere in between the terrestrial world and the celestial world. So that's what these entities are. But even then, it becomes very difficult because of all the nomenclatures and where they come from. So where they actually come from, and believe it or not, they're cousins to us. They were created during the antediluvian period as an offshoot of humanity. This is the reason why a lot of them are long-lived. A lot of them still have access to magical power, arcane power at a much easier and much more transferable level than we have right now. Because currently, right now, humanity is at a very disadvantaged state where we are right now compared to what we were initially during the antediluvian period. That's another topic for another time.
So are you saying that God created them, or are they like Nephilim?
They are Nephilim created by fallen angels.
And are they more like chimeras?
Yes.
Like they were, what do they call it? Like DNA splicing? And
Yep. So yeah, they were created by the fallen angels. You're right. That's where they come from. But they were created from a different stock of humanity, a more powerful, spiritually and physically powerful stock of humanity. When they're an offshoot of that compared to what we are right now, which is a species with amnesia, that is living now in a wasteland of a planet. Now, where the mischievous part comes from has to do with the miscommunications, right? So they will mess with you. They'll play pranks on you, like they'll hide your slippers just to make you feel like you're going crazy. Sometimes they'll do some very mischievous things. They'll turn your sink on when you're asleep and you wake up and the sink's running, or they'll leave the door open, right? They do things, very annoying things at first, depending upon like you said earlier, the level of disrespect that they get. So some of them, when they feel disrespected and slighted, if you ignore their presence. Some of them feel disrespected or slighted if you harm nature around you. So you do something like harm an innocent animal or something like that, the Fae will see that and take slight to that, take offense to that, and try to make you pay for what you've done. So a lot of people, they also make deals with the Fae, or they try to give gifts. Fae actually are very weird. And here's an example of their logic being much different than ours. So there's stories of Fae helping farmers, but what they don't want are gifts. They want honest pay. So what that means is they want like cream, because they love cream. Cream is one of their favorite foods. Water, rations, things like that. But they don't take too kindly to gifts, and to extravagant gifts. For some reason, their logic is that they feel that they're being bought. Their services are being bought, like it's a bribe or something. And to them, that's an insult. So a lot of farmers back in the day would give them extravagant gifts so they could continue. The Fae would either get offended at the farmer and be like, hey, you're trying to buy my favor? I can't be bought. right? And then they leave the farmer. Or in one case, a farmer had his wife sew together some fine clothes for the Fae, real fine, nice clothes for the Fae, and they left it out for him. And when they saw him trying on the clothes, he looks at them and goes, "I'm too good to do this work," pops his collar and disappears. So the Fae in his mind is like, "I'm too good for this type of work. Now I'm wearing nice clothes. I'm out of here." So that goes to show you that their logic is much different than ours. And the Bible warns us. Like I said, the Bible's the greatest tool when you're learning about the arcane. And the Bible tells us that these creatures that we dealt with during the antediluvian period, these creatures, all of them were very mischievous, self-centered, troublesome, and violent. Okay, that's what the Bible warns us about them being that way. So you have to be careful, approach them with caution, because these were the same entities that we were dealing with during the antediluvian period. They were drinking, laughing, eating, marrying. That's one of the quotes that the Bible talks about these Nephilim entities that are now the Fae. These are the same creatures, these are the same beings that you're dealing with. Okay, so approach with caution when you're dealing with these entities. And always make sure that you approach with some respect for what you're dealing with. And I personally believe that the best thing to do is just ward them off. Let them know you're not welcome here. I don't want anything to do with you. You're cut off. I'm protected by the one true God. Because there's been many cases where the Fae have tried to lure or harm people, and prayer usually works very well to ward them off. They don't like prayer. They don't like religious homes. Iron is one of their biggest weaknesses. They don't like iron. If you put an iron cross on your door, is one of the best ways to ward them off. Whether it's on the inside or outside, you want them out, I don't want you here. Keeping that on your doorway lets them know you're not allowed in my home. They are still bound to the rules of the arcane, just like any other demon. You can summon them, you can dismiss them at your will. Okay, you don't have to put up with their crap. So remember that. You don't have to. You don't have to be a victim to them, especially if it's a house of prayer and an individual who is very devoted to God. You can easily ward them away. People who have arcane preparatory training can also easily ward them away. Another way to ward them off is salt. They don't like salt. You put salt on the ground, they don't like crossing it, they won't go anywhere near it. That's one of the things about the Fae and other creatures that we've spoken about. Salt is one of the biggest wards you can use to tell them to go away.
Salt is a purifying agent, just the same as with the demons that we've spoken about in the past. Iron and salt are a big thing. There's also, the lore that they have to count the grains of the salt, and so they don't like that.
Like that goes back to their neurotic logic.
Yeah.
Like they take some of them that have like OCD will go crazy when they see that happen. And instead of dealing with the whole situation, they'll just run. A lot of them will run. Some of them will be stuck there. You're right, though. Iron, salt, a purifying agent, whether they're counting each grain or whether it's just purifying their presence.
What about silver?
Silver is also very great. I was literally about to say that. Got my mind, empath.
Well,
but I was literally about to say that. Silver is a great agent for either killing them or warding them off, just like iron. Back to salt. There was a story about a farmer who killed a Fae by putting salt in the porridge.
Oh.
He didn't want them around. He's like, these things can turn on us and they hurt us really bad. He's heard the story. So he put salt in the porridge and fed it to one of the Fae, and it just killed him. He found the Fae's shriveled small body on the ground.
Was there more of them or just the one? Because I feel like if you just poisoned one, they would want vengeance.
Actually, they didn't come for vengeance. They were terrified because this guy knew how to kill them. Most people don't know how to deal with them. Well, usually when they mess with someone, it's because you don't know how to deal with us. So they feel like they have some leverage over us, but it's actually the opposite. When they know, yeah, they're mad, they're angry, you killed one of ours, but they don't want to go back because they realize, hey, this guy knows how to kill us. He knows how to deal with us. And so this farmer wasn't playing. So he was an English farmer. He's like, I want them gone. Salt inside the porridge, left it out in the morning, came back to a corpse, buried it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he wasn't playing around. So it just depends on what you're dealing with. I think that was unnecessary. I'm not the type of person, and I know I have a hardline stance against the infernal court. I do. I don't like demons. But the Fae, I don't want to hurt them. I don't really see them as a threat. I don't see them as something good, but I don't see them as a threat. And to me, it's just like nature. It's just, all right, leave them alone and let them go about their business, right? If I see a butterfly, just leave it alone, let it go about its business. It's pretty, saw it, all right, go about my business. but I don't want to go out of my way to hurt him. And that's just cruel. I don't agree with what the farmer did. I mean, I don't know what his situation was, but there were rumors that in that story, there were rumors that another farm was being plagued by these creatures. And so he didn't want nothing to do with them. So he's like, all right, just kill them all. Sometimes I can understand the hardline stance. I feel kind of bad for the Fae because maybe he was just trying to earn some cream and was slighted. But then again, cultural misunderstandings, right? So what's a slight to us might not be a slight to them and vice versa. So they're very weird creatures in that sense. But those are 3 methods, or actually 4 methods. Don't forget prayer. Also works very well to ward off the Fae if you're ever dealing with them. Now, they get more powerful. They can become more dangerous. There's higher and stronger nomenclatures than the ones that we're talking about. The bogs, the fairies, the little ones the pixies, all those stuff, they're easier to ward off than the bigger ones. Elves, trolls, it gets
Well,
worse.
And I think elves and trolls, they come in different sizes, right?
Oh, yeah.
They can be little trolls, and then there's like really
big ones.
huge,
Yeah.
big ones. Yeah. Like giants, right?
Yes.
And then obviously you have Bigfoot, who's huge.
And Bigfoot is a troll, by the way. Everyone tries to say it's an ape. It's not. It probably is within its DNA because who knows what the angels used to create these creatures, the fallen angels, when they were creating these creatures. The Bible just says that they mixed animals and humans and plants and nature with the human race. So who knows what combination they used to get the troll. Sasquatch, Bigfoot are forms of troll. That's all they are. They're just trolls. This is the reason why when you try to follow them, they disappear. Right? People are like, oh, they're disappearing to another realm. No, they're disappearing because they're extraterrestrial. No, they're not. They're not extraterrestrial. They're extra-dimensional entities. Fae, right? That's what they are. So they're just good old-fashioned trolls. We've hunted them to the point where now they hide from us.
I feel like all the Fae hide.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's very hard to find them.
It is very hard to find them. They're not stupid. They know that they don't understand they're dealing with a species with amnesia. But they also know and understand
we're a hostile species.
We're hostile. Yeah, we are extremely hostile. Human beings are extremely hostile.
I think people see something that's out of the norm and they go into fight mode.
Yeah.
Before they ask questions.
Yeah. We tear each other apart over skin color and sexual orientation, stupid things, small differences, and we're the same species.
Yeah.
So imagine what another species that's intelligent and sentient, when they see us tearing each other apart, they're like, whoa, keep your distance from these maniacs. They kill each other literally over small things. To them, it's probably a small thing, right? Like, oh, they kill each other over small differences. What will they do to us? And history has proven that we've been extremely violent to these entities and these creatures. Some of them rightfully so. Some of them, and like I said, I don't believe in throwing out the baby with the bathwater. That's unfair. The Lord says that he will judge. And there's actually stories of the Fae getting saved and becoming followers of Christ, becoming followers of God, and getting saved and earning a soul and earning a nefesh. All can be redeemed through Jesus. I always gotta get my Jesus freak moment in every episode, right? So all can be redeemed by Jesus. There's stories of a beautiful troll woman called the Hilda. I'm probably butchering it. If you know the name of it, please say so in the comment section. I don't pretend like I know everything. I heard the story of the Hild, and they sometimes would coerce men to come into the Fae world and marry them. Well, sometimes men would do the opposite and convince them to come live in the mortal world. Now, if he can convince his Hild troll Fae wife to get baptized and accept Jesus as her savior, she's a beautiful woman. So you see a beautiful blonde woman, and she has a cow's tail. If she accepts Jesus as her Lord and Savior, the cowtail falls off and she gains a soul, and she loses all attachment to the Fae world.
Really?
Yeah, those are some of the stories that happen. So what does that tell you? That tells you, once again, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Anyone can be redeemed. God is slow to anger, quick to forgive. Anyone can be redeemed if you want it. All you have to do is ask, and you'll get it. Okay, ask with earnest and ask with humility, and you will receive forgiveness for whatever you've done. God's not cruel. When God's cruel, it's because he's at his limit with something. It's what I've always learned in the Bible, but that just shows you that the Fae have potential to become saved. What I believe happens is God purifies the Nephilim corruption, the chimeric corruption, and makes them human. And says, "Hey, you're mine now." So that's another story. So that's why I believe don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Don't assume they're all evil. There's lots of stories of the vast spectrum of alignment that these entities could choose.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like I've talked too much. You wanna chime in or anything like?
I don't know much about Fae because I didn't grow up with those stories. So I don't come from that cultural background. This is really all new territory for me.
Yeah.
However, there's a park that I go to regularly for walks to walk my dog and whatnot, and just to get a nice hike in. And it's connected to like a little sports area, like fields, and it's active. Like several of the local schools go there to do their sports games and stuff, football, soccer,
Yeah.
baseball, whatever. So the field is manicured on a regular basis, right?
Yeah.
So I found it really interesting because I know, like, if you see this, especially we're in San Diego, it's like the weirdest location. Like, you don't hear about any encounters with the Fae. And so the first thought that popped in my mind was, did somebody plant? Did somebody lay seeds down? But no, it's not possible because the field is the grass is constantly being trimmed and whatnot. So
Sports fields usually are.
right, that's what I'm saying, like constantly manicured, right? So it's not like somebody could plant something, you know? But one day when I was there was in the corner of the field a circle of mushrooms.
Oh, a fairy circle.
Full on circle. And it was pretty large, and the mushrooms were very large.
Yeah.
And then next to it, like on like its own circle outside of that circle, like it was like right next to it, was a smaller circle.
Yeah.
Of a totally different type of mushroom. And it was a smaller mushroom, but it was totally shaped differently and everything. And so it was two totally different mushrooms.
Perfect circle?
Perfect circle, both of them. It was fascinating. And then the next time I went, a few days later, it was gone because the field was manicured. So no one would have had time to seed that area and like make it as a hoax. You know what I mean? At least that's my belief because the grass is constantly being cut. So I just found it fascinating. And I tried taking a photo of it, but it was in the field, which was locked.
Yeah.
Because it was on an off day. And I couldn't get like a close enough view. It was really.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, but it was fascinating. And then, like I said, the next time I showed up, it was gone. So I was kind of bummed about it. But I was like, oh my God, are there fairies here?
Yeah, one of the things I learned in the military about navigating in the wilderness is that straight lines and perfect shapes are not naturally occurring in nature. So something happened. So if you saw a perfect circle, yeah, that's not normal. Interesting. So do you think it was a Fae?
I think so. I didn't see anything, but who knows?
Interesting. Yeah, so there's others, they get more powerful than the tiny little ones that people normally associate with. So another perfect example of a very dangerous Fae creature would be Peter Pan. Now, the actual Peter Pan is a terrifying Fae creature that appears, and I believe he's elven in origin, but that appears more like a young boy. It appears friendly, and it whisks away your children in the night and takes your children to its own realm of existence, where they force these children into servitude. Another vicious Fae nomenclature that's extremely dangerous is the Hat Man. People like to assume that the Hat Man is a demon. He is a demon, but he's a Fae, actually. That's really where it comes from. He doesn't necessarily work for the Infernal Court. I personally believe, and I don't know, I don't have any proof, but I personally believe the Hat Man is a form of Dokafar, which is dark elf. So dark elves like to come and terrorize people. They feed off of fear and terror, and they increasingly cause more and more fear and terror in your life so that they have more authority over you. Like almost like the demons of the Infernal Court, but his allegiance is somewhere else, to his own allegiance. So there's that, dealing with that as well. And the Dogman, of course, is a Fae creature. So a Dogman, Bigfoot, a lot of these cryptids that they say are out in the wilderness, I believe are Fae creatures. I believe the Jersey Devil is a Fae creature as well. All of them are reported to just vanish out of nowhere. They all have this ability to just vanish. And this is where a lot of theories about their abilities come from. So I had to write some names down because I'm horrible at names, and I don't want to say. I want to give these researchers their due credit. So John Keel is the individual brilliant man and researcher of the occult who believed that they were not of this world, that they were traveling to different dimensions. He also believed that UFOs, you might like this because I know you love your UFOs, and all our friends out there that love aliens, were actually a form of Fae as well. And he believed that UFOs were Fae utilizing their version of the industrial complex to create these engines to travel around in. So that's what he believed. And the different types of extraterrestrials that you run into that kidnap people and all this stuff are just Fae. And if he has a point there, because if you look at some of the things that the Fae did in older myths, it's very, very similar to what we see happening now. So I think we did a story about a man that was kidnapped in Argentina by a blonde Nordic alien. Did we cover that?
No.
No. So he was kidnapped by a blonde Nordic alien. She said she was gorgeous when you saw her, very otherworldly, and they forced her to mate with him out of nowhere, and then just kind of took off. I forgot this gentleman's name, but that's very similar to some of the stories that happened with the Fae and elves of the past. So John Keel, he came up with that, and he was the first to really say this stuff. And back in his time, they thought he was pretty kooky to put the two and two together. And Robert Anton Wilson believes that some of them are psychological manifestations, and that they are aspects of our own nature coinciding with nature itself. And I believe they're both right.
Like it's nature's way of fighting back when we abuse it, like
Part of
cutting
that.
down too many trees or whatnot.
Part of that, yeah. Part of that, aspects of nature from the tree itself, coinciding with our own consciousness, because that is what reality is in a sense. And every magician learns this at the start, is that your reality is one of many coinciding together to create the objective reality. The only objective reality that truly exists is God's. Every other one is a smaller one that is subjective to the objective one, and subjective to what's happening around you, hence the term subjective.
I find that as a strong possibility. I can see how that would happen, how that could manifest, because there have been a lot of studies that have come out that shows plants have feelings.
Yeah.
There are scientists who have put plants in a room and they're in another room, and they'll be having a conversation of the things that they plan on doing to the plant. And they'll be like, oh, we're going to water it. We're going to nourish it. We're going to take care of it. And it thrives and grows. And then they also say, okay, we're going to kill this plant. We're going to do this. We're going to cut off its leaves, and it starts to shrivel. They understand what we're saying and they respond accordingly. And then another one, there's a lady on TikTok who has like these, I don't know, these like electrodes that she hooks up, and she puts them on things in nature. She puts them on different plants, different species. She even puts them on flowers, like flower petals. She'll put them on, she'll hook them up to like bark of a tree, and she hooks up to like a speaker or something. I'm not sure how she does it, but it broadcasts like its own nature sounds, like its own song, like its own, the vibrations, the frequencies, and they all have their own rhythm. It's fascinating. I love it. So that just shows that these are living things. They may not be beings in the term that we understand, like humanoid, like you said, but they are living. They are some form, maybe a very basic form of sentience.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't even say basic. I would say it's advanced.
Well,
kind of in a sense where you are being
in the
an
way
empath.
that it doesn't talk like we do, but they respond to what we say. So it understands what we're saying. It understands the emotions we give off. It understands the frequencies we give off.
Yeah, and there's an Indian doctor who recognized that trees were putting out positive frequencies. They're putting out high-pitched frequencies that soothed and healed us, whether we realized it or not. So then it wasn't just the oxygen they were emitting, it was a frequency. It was very, very subtle. And he said the larger the tree, the stronger the frequency. I found that very interesting also when in the Book of Enoch, talking about how beautiful and positive the world was before the fallen angels came, and how there were giant trees. Coincidence? So there is a sentience there. You're absolutely right. There's an intelligence there. And as a magician, you start to learn, one of the things you learn when you're first starting out as an apprentice is that everything has intelligence, whether we recognize it or not. And you're not supposed to quantify it and measure it in a personal regard, but in a regard to how it applies itself to the world, if that makes sense. So, for example, this chair I'm sitting in, right? It's a comfy chair I love so much. It does its job and it does it well in this world. And that's what it was meant to do. As a magician of the right-handed path of the light, you learn to be grateful for what it applies to the world. So I'm very grateful for this chair. I'm grateful that it's comfortable. I'm grateful that it's cool, that it's smooth to the touch. I'm grateful it's very supportive from my back. I'm grateful it's supporting my big 250-pound frame. I'm very grateful for what it does and making me comfortable while we talk for an hour about tangents and fairies. So I'm very grateful for that. And I respect that what it does and provides to this world. And I'm thankful for what it does and provide in this world. As a magician of the right-handed path, and this will help a lot of you on your journey, recognize the intelligence of the things around you, and it will allow you to understand the world around you and harness your arcane abilities better as you start to understand the world and everything that applies. So I hope that helps some of the people in their journey when you're starting out. But there's also, so moving on to the Fae and how what Mr. Robert Anton Wilson says is that, some of them are trying to gain access to your worldview, just like typical demons. And you have to understand that you're special. And I say this all the time. Repetition is key when you're becoming a magician, because you need reminders. I've forgotten so much information because I don't have my dad leaning over my shoulder saying, "Read this, boy. Read this here and learn. Now recite it back to me. Meditate on it." So I don't have that. So I forget a lot of things. We all forget a lot of things, but remember that you're special. Okay. Not in a sense where you want your pride to flutter out of control and become some grandiose fluffy, but rather you are special in a sense that you are made in the image of the Lord. Why are human beings special? Because you're made in the image of God. It's one of the first things that you're told in the Bible. Bible's the greatest book when it comes to learning about the arcane. That's why you're able to summon creatures or dismiss them at your will. Anything that's non-terrestrial, you can call or you can dismiss. You have power over it. You could bind them in the service. Solomon bound demons in the service, forced them to build the first temple. I wouldn't advise you do that because Solomon was also the wisest man ever, and he still managed to get tricked by demons. So I wouldn't advise you do that, but remember, you have that power. We're an infantile species. We are very young in the scheme of things because of our short lifespans now that we live. We are ignorant in comparison to our predecessors, in comparison to God, in comparison to the Fae, and in comparison to the angels or demons around the world. You're even probably more ignorant than your average fire elemental that just screams and tries to burn things around it. So what does that mean? Right? That means be careful with how you navigate things and understand that things that you are susceptible to the things around you. Why do these things want to gain access to you? Why do these things want you to feel like you're insignificant? Why does the system at large, Hollywood and the media, try to tell you that you're insignificant? When you see these movies, you see all of these beings, these demons and angels are more powerful than you. That's not true. In a sense, they are, because they are more refined and they have more acute spiritual sense than you do, because we're blind, we're ignorant, and we're young. But the potential there within you, being made in the image of the Lord, is far greater. And that's what they want. They want the potential. That's why you're so special. That's why the battle for your mind that helps to formulate this universe is so precious. And that is what they're trying to gain. Whether it be Fae, demon, fallen angel. Protect your mind, protect yourself, constantly learn, be humble, and most importantly, be happy. I know it's cliche, but be happy, because your thoughts create the universe.
So you had mentioned that they're curious. They are interdimensional, right?
Yes.
And so you explained how, I guess you didn't really explain how they actually travel. Is it like a portal that they create, or do they just slip through the veil?
I've heard some of them create portals, heard some of them find energy points in the world, and I heard some of them can just
Manifest?
manifest it and change their frequency at will. Like you can change your frequency at will by you're controlling your emotions. It's a consciousness.
I can't traverse to other realms
You can't traverse. I mean, because we are very,
unless I'm sleeping and I'm lucid dreaming or having an out of body experience.
Yeah.
But that's the only way. I can't do it.
Yeah, you can't. We're not.
Oh,
we're,
wait.
we're confined to these mortal shells due to the original sin, but they're not.
Interesting. And then you mentioned also that they interact with us out of curiosity.
Some of them
Why
do.
do they? Why would they want to interact with us? We've talked about demons. They obviously, what do they get from us? They feed off of us. They feed off of our low frequencies, our low emotions, our vibrations. They feed off of us to nourish themselves. They grow in power when they weaken us. They feed off of us, off of our spirit, our energy. So what does the Fae get out of interacting with us? Why are they interacting with us? Why? Why do they want to do that?
Some are mischievous. I will say that. Some of them are just trying to earn some cream or some gold or something that we have that they want from us. Some of them are very malevolent.
Yeah, because you have
It's
the
very
stories of changelings.
Yeah.
What are those? Are those elves?
I believe those are elves. And I believe the reason why they do that is because they're having trouble procreating. I believe that's one of the reasons why they steal
Which
human
is a
children.
very similar, another thing that's similar to rumors that that's why aliens are doing the experiments on us, that they are, because they need to create the hybrids.
Yeah.
Because they can't reproduce anymore.
Yeah. Some of them definitely are able to reproduce, but most of them can't. It's kind of like when you cross a horse and a donkey, you get a mule sterile. You cross genetics too much, and there's kind of always that genetic wall that won't allow you to cross anymore. Somehow the fallen angels managed to break that wall down in the antediluvian period. And they're still working on it right now through unwholesome programs like CRISPR, but there's a genetic wall there that they still haven't managed to get past. So you can only go so far before you can no longer procreate. And now you have to find other means to procreate. And for them to continue, they need us. That's where I personally the story of the changeling and things like that come from, abductions and all that good stuff.
You know, I hear rumors, and I don't know if it's part of the CRISPR program, but it's definitely DNA related and cloning related, that they're like, oh, we just found like a mammoth with well-preserved DNA that we can use. They said they created a mammoth mouse. They put the DNA of a mammoth into a mouse. I don't know. Is this real? I don't know.
They did.
But
It was like a woolly mouse. It's crazy.
it's crazy, right?
Yeah. It had
But
a
by all
long
means,
nose.
if anyone in our audience is like knows that that's not real and that was all hoax, like by all
Yeah.
means, tell us. Let
I
us know.
saw the picture of it. It had a long nose, but it had a long rodent nose that
It didn't have a trunk. It
it
was
didn't have a trunk,
longer.
but it had a long nose.
Yeah,
And it had a lot of
it had a lot of hair,
Yeah. It was like a
and I
woolly
think its ears were even
rodent.
bigger.
Yeah, it had
They were
big
like,
ears. It was crazy looking.
yeah,
But this is exactly what Jesus warned about, that the last days would look like the days of Noah.
yeah.
The days of Noah were the fallen angels tampering with DNA, creating all the monsters and foul things that ended up destroying the earth.
And I think I heard a rumor that they found DNA of like dinosaurs,
Yeah. They're
of
gonna
like a T-Rex. And I'm like, please don't.
There's
Please
a
don't.
reason. Well, the Bible said there was violence continuously in that.
Just because you find
Fine.
DNA is not an excuse to remake it.
Yeah. Bringing something back like that is probably a horrible idea. I don't think that the dinosaurs are what they're telling us. I don't think so at all. I think it's more akin to dragons. I don't think they're these creatures that are dumb as a horse and that are going to just be easily tameable or you keep it in a cage. I think that these things are wicked smart.
Well,
A
they're
lot of these
ginormous, so I don't think you could ever cage something that's that big.
fantasy stories about dragons, some of them are wicked smart and they can outsmart people. So I don't think that's something you want to bring back. There was one story, a Russian story about a three-headed dragon that outwitted kingdoms and was robbing them and killing them and taking their stuff for many centuries until a brave knight managed to take him out by spearing him through the heart with a very long lance in combat. He goaded him into fighting him on the ground because this thing could fly and then said, face me one-on-one, I'll charge you, you charge me. Like rammed it right through the heart with an iron lance, killed it, but it also killed him too. But that's how they finally managed to take it out. But this thing was a terror. So if dinosaurs are dragons, I really don't want to see them walking around again. God killed those things off for a reason with the flood. And by undoing God's work, we are bringing untold amounts of misery and pain and suffering on ourselves. But perhaps that's what the evil controllers of the world want.
I saw a theory about the T-Rex in particular. Somebody took an X-ray of a bat and then showed the skeleton, the bones of a T-Rex, and the bat's hands, that's part of their wings, like on the X-ray, look identical as the T-Rex's short little hands.
Yeah.
So that would make sense if that would be a good
Wings?
argument towards it being a dragon.
Yeah, towards like
wings.
the
Yeah.
hands at the end of wings, like a bat. Yeah, that makes sense. I would say, yeah. I would say that's more accurate.
And then there's theories also that the skeletons have been put together in the museums wrong purposely so that we don't know the truth that they're really dragons or whatever, that they're purposely telling us what they want us to think they look like.
I would agree. It was probably a dragon, and it probably had wings. That would explain why it had tiny arms. Because when you look at, I've never thought that that it is what they tell us. Some of these creatures, when you look at them, I'm like, I don't know. I think you guys are off on that. And there was one individual who showed like the skeleton of a penguin, and the penguin has a real long neck,
Yeah.
and it looks crazy if you look at the skeleton. But when you realize it's just a little penguin, we don't know what we're looking at. And science is very arrogant. We don't know what we're looking at. But all I know is this: God said in the Bible before the flood that there was a lot of violence and these creatures were vicious. So I'm going to believe God before I believe science. And I'm going to go with the idea that these things are very dangerous, and whatever we're being told about them is not the truth.
So do you think dragons were fae, or do you think they're more like elementals because they did incorporate like fire? They breathed fire based on the lore.
I'll believe more towards Fae.
More towards fae?
Or towards Fae, yeah. Not elemental in the sense where the elemental's complete physical composition is that of one of the four main elements.
Okay.
So that's the difference between an elemental and a Fae. So Fae's composition is a lot more complex than elemental. So let's go over what we learned about how to deal with the Fae. So if you have issues with the Fae, remember iron wards them off. Crosses wards them off.
Salt and prayer.
Also, I want to throw this caveat in there. Anyone with dogs and cats can ward off Fae. Fae tend to run away when they're dealing with ornery dogs and cats. There's been stories of cats killing small fairies, small, little creatures that try to wander, and vicious male tomcat taking it out, right? And then dragging it to the farmer and saying, hey, I found this thing, and plopping it down. Dogs, all demons hate dogs. All negative entities hate dogs. So if a Fae is trying to cause some problems and it comes on your property, the dogs are going to sniff it out, find it, and kill it. Dogs and cats tend to ward off the weaker forms of Fae. A lot of evil demonic entities hate dogs and cats.
But at a minimum, even if they can't ward them off, at a minimum, they can at least alert you to their presence. So they're a really good natural alarm system.
Yeah, the dogs are the best. When it comes to sensing evil presences, dogs are very good. One of the things I've noticed...
cats. Cats will hiss. You'll see them hissing at corners.
Yeah. Most of the individuals that we help, if they do have pets, they're very passive. But aggressive pets, like a male cat or male dog, will usually try to be very territorial, and they will ward off the negative entities and keep them away from you. And don't get me wrong, it's not always the males. I know there's some tough females, because I had a Labrador and she was vicious. She didn't like anyone coming around who wasn't welcome. So get a dog that has a defensive temperament. If you're dealing with issues with Fae, those are some of the steps you can take to protect yourself. And then after that, it becomes more intense. And then you're going to need to hire professionals. But those are some simple, cost-effective methods to use to protect yourself against the intrusions of the Fae.
Yeah. Did you say silver?
Silver, yes.
You did say silver?
Silver. So silver, iron, crosses, salt, dogs and cats.
Prayer.
And holy water, of course. Holy water always works on most demons. Gets them to leave. Even if they don't find their frequency being tampered with, they're still not going to like it, and they usually leave you alone.
That was very fascinating for me because, like I said, I didn't grow up with these stories outside of what you see in movies and stuff and TV, which I enjoy anything that's paranormal in any way. So I knew a little bit, but it's not like it was something that my Nonna was like hammering home, like, you have to know these things. She did that with other things. She did that with more like full-on demonic things. So that was my upbringing. But yeah, so this was a fascinating conversation because I learned a lot. Thank you for sharing your knowledge on that.
Well, you're very welcome. It was fun talking about it. And just keep in mind, this is the tip of the iceberg. These creatures are so complex. So what I told you is just tip of the iceberg, beginner knowledge. It gets more and more complex depending upon what you're dealing with.
Yeah. So let us know if there are any other entities that you think could be categorized as Fae, what you think, what your thoughts are on the ones that we discussed today. And thank you to Chad for suggesting this topic.
Great topic suggestion. And also, I want to throw this question out there. Have you had any run-ins with the Fae? Some people have positive run-ins with them. Some people have negative run-ins with them. Some people have just seen them in passing. If you have any experiences with the Fae, I'd love to hear about it because of the difficulty and the extreme nature of this topic. This isn't something you could just easily pigeonhole into one simple definition. What are your experiences? What have you learned? If you've learned anything, you've studied anything, or if there are any legends, anything like that, we'd love to hear about it in the comment section. Or if you'd love to just send it in to us in email, that'd be great too.
Yep, absolutely. We love hearing from you guys, and we don't know everything. I'm personally not that well traveled, so I don't know about all the different entities across the world, around the world. So share your cultural entities and what they do and what they're known for and what the lore says, how you can fight them off and combat them.
Yeah.
We're here to learn just as much as you
We're
are.
here to learn just as much. Don't feel like you're kooky or anything. I've heard so many stories. I had a friend of mine who's also a magician. She's actually a witch, and she used to tell me how she used to constantly see this little dancing thing in the corner of her eye. I thought it was a fae too. She calls it a fae, and she said it was a little fairy. And she said that this thing would help her out a lot, do nice things for her. And in return, she would sing to it.
Interesting.
So yeah, it would help her out, do nice things for her. Like if something was missing in the house, like I can't find my wallet, and suddenly her wallet just appears like on her computer desk. But even though she's checked her computer desk a million times, and then she would see the little thing in the corner just dancing and waving at her, and she would sing to it, and more good things would happen for her. So they're not whatever your experience are with these entities. We want to hear about it.
Well, speaking of Chad, he did write in a question
Okay.
for us. So let's roll into our questions. Question 1, where do the Fae actually come from? Another realm, another dimension, or a hidden layer of our own world? We kind of already touched on this.
Yeah, we
but
kind of already touched on it.
let's go a little bit deeper.
Well, Shakespeare believed they had their own kingdoms, and he was a magician as well. He believed they had their own kingdoms that were on adjacent dimensions from our own. So I believe that that's probably where they disappear to, different worlds, different dimensions. I don't believe this dimension that we're on is the only one. The Bible speaks about so many different heavens. The Book of Enoch really goes into the different heavens and hells and the different frequencies and nomenclatures. What we would be classified as the middle realm, the neutral realm. And so you can go up and down according to your authority in the layers. These entities probably have better control over their presence than we do. So they could change their frequencies into more drastic vibrations and go to other dimensions and layers. I believe that there are energy points that serve as wormholes that can help you go to other places because there's stories that talk about individuals either going into caves or going to portions of the forest and then coming out into a whole different world. There's a lot of stories about that happen in mythology.
I was going to ask, you mentioned parallel dimensions, but also could it also be like an inner earth type of thing? Like they might be coming, like you're talking about the caves, and what I've heard from like the caves is like beings and even aliens coming from like a hole so deep it's inner earth. And
Yeah,
like they said that there's like an entrance point in Antarctica where a pilot, I can't remember his name, back in the day, flew through and saw a whole other earth.
Admiral Byrd.
Yes, Admiral Byrd. And even like an inner sun in there as well, like a little sun.
I think it was a wormhole. I think that's what he went into was
So
a
you
wormhole.
don't think it was like
I don't think-
inside the earth?
I think that the wormhole is inside the earth, and then once you go through, you're in another dimension or frequency.
Okay.
But I don't think that he traveled through into another, like through into the earth into the other side.
Okay. So you think it ported him to another location?
I think it ported him to another location.
And do you think that could be the parallel dimension where the Fae reside?
Yes, I believe it's one of the many parallel dimensions that a lot of different entities reside in. So the descriptions of these entities that Admiral Byrd gave when he ran into them were exactly the same as someone would give of an elf. So beautiful, slender, tall. long golden hair, glowing large almond eyes. Same description that a lot of the medieval and Renaissance accounts of the elves
Or the Nordic aliens.
or Nordic aliens.
Sounds very similar.
Yep. So I believe he went through a wormhole. That's my personal theory. I could be wrong. That's my personal theory, that there's energy points in wormholes. Some of them are more accessible than others. Probably the one he went through was probably one that was reactive to whoever shows up. Some of them you have to be reactive yourself in order for them to activate. So I think like Bigfoot knows, okay, if I go here, I can change my frequency and the energy points will coincide and I can now travel to the other side. I think it all just depends. It's kind of like how when you're dealing with an electrical grid, it's very similar.
Interesting. Yeah, there is a story of the Green Children.
Yeah.
A brother and sister.
Very good story.
And they came through a cave, I believe. So when they approached the village, they had green skin. And I think they both were sick, but they were only able to save the little girl. The boy ended up dying, pretty rapidly. He ended up dying. But they were able to nurse the girl to health. And over time, with her diet, her skin color went to normal. It turned to a normal skin tone. And so they believed, it had to do with whatever they were eating. Like maybe they had a really strong green plant-based diet. Like flamingos eat a lot of shrimp. They're pink, right? You eat a lot of carrots, you do turn a little orange. So that's what they were thinking, that, they live off of like nothing but greens and that's why they have green skin. I wonder though if maybe because, they looked human. Once the green skin went away, they appeared to be human. So I wonder if they were changelings, like they were kidnapped.
Yeah, probably.
And then somehow found their way back, like getting lost, but they found their way back. And because they didn't look like elves. They didn't have weird ears. They looked like humans. So yeah, I wonder if they were
kidnapped,
returned, or they just kind of found their way. Yeah.
Probably escaped.
Well,
yeah.
they wanted to go back. They were like, we don't belong here. They wanted to go back, but they couldn't figure out how to get back.
Yeah, they were institutionalized. More than likely, human beings that were institutionalized. Oh, this is our world now, and you get used to it. And maybe they perhaps wandered by mistake into the wrong area and ported over to our world. And yeah, I hope that answers your question. There's so much to the Fae that I don't think that we could do it justice. But what little we know, we're sharing.
Yeah, or what little we've heard. We don't know everything. So next question is from Kelly.
Kelly, hey Kelly.
What are your thoughts on how the mark of the beast will play out? In the latest episode, Danica mentioned the frog boiling in water situation, and I wonder if the same will apply to this. How can we be on the lookout for it?
So the mark of the beast is a complex subject. A lot of theologians have thrown their crazy shtick on it. In order to understand the mark of the beast, you have to read the Book of Enoch. You have to. There's no way around it. You read the Book of Enoch, everything else makes sense in the Bible, including the mark of the beast. There's a warning in Enoch, and it says this is a warning for future generations because the fallen angels are going to try this malarkey again. I'm ad-libbing, of course. I don't think he said malarkey, but he said the fallen angels are going to try this crap again. So be careful, because this is going to happen. This is a warning for future generations, so your world doesn't end up like mine. So one of the things that they warned about was the changing of your nefesh. They created the chimeras. That was them mixing their DNA with animals. And this is warned about also in Yasher and a few other books that are very important. Jude warns about it. And because of that, they became irredeemable when that happened. When these individuals died from the flood, they were stuck on the other side as demons and became members of the infernal court, okay? Because they no longer could dwell with the Lord. Rob Skiba, if you ever go to his channel, he explains this beautifully, and he does better justice than I ever could. I don't ever want to pretend like I'm the end-all, be-all. I'm not. I'm just a humble servant of the Lord trying to help people in any way I can. But these people became irredeemable. They became demons, trapped, servants of the infernal court of Lucifer. This was the ultimate goal of Lucifer, is to damn your soul, okay? Enoch warns about this blending of human and animal flesh. This is the mark. So when you look in the Bible and they talk about marks, it's usually something on your soul or something on your body, a marking, right? In this case, it's both. So you fast forward to the book of Revelations. Remember Enoch's warning. It's going to happen again. This is the mark of the beast. But it explains it in a very, very roundabout way. Like you should already know what's happening. Like when Jesus explains to you that the last days look like the days of Noah, then it turns around and it goes back to the book of Revelations and it shows you the last days. The last days goes to the mark of the beast. Well, you should already know what the mark of the beast looks like if you read, and you should know what Jesus means if you read the book of Enoch. And some theologians and the church itself, a lot of people are faithless now. They say that's too outrageous. It's too much, sounds too much like mythology. But this is what it is. They're going to try to blend your DNA with animal DNA, and it's starting right now with RNA disruption. So this is going to upset a lot of people. A lot of people are going to be upset. RNA manipulation is the precursor to DNA manipulation. They can't mess with your DNA until they mess with your RNA first, because your RNA is the building it tells basically orders the building blocks of the amino acids that form your body, tells it what to do and how to function. But once they manipulate it, it opens the floodgates for them to be able to manipulate your DNA.
Can I just interrupt here? I've seen, I think, documentaries and interviews where scientists are talking about, I think I've heard this even from someone connected in the military, and they said that they have scientists currently working on to make super soldiers, to mix DNA of a cheetah so that the soldiers can run faster.
Yes.
Give them eyes of like a hawk or something so that they can see farther.
Yeah.
And just all in the hopes to create a super soldier. I think they're also using like pig organs for organ transplants. Like they're working on that. So they're already working on it. Like they're already working on putting animal DNA into us with the excuse of this will make you a faster predator, a super soldier. And it always starts in government first. It always starts in military first, right? And then after it's been refined, then it moves out to the general public. You'll probably start seeing and hearing stories about that more frequently. They've already started it.
Those are the selling points. You're absolutely right. That's a good, what you said was gold. Those are the selling points. Would you like to run like a cheetah? Would you like to have claws like Wolverine? Would you like to have a healing factor like Wolverine? Would you like to be able to jump like Spider-Man?
Yeah, I think the reptile was like an iguana that they self-heal, right? They like, if you chop off their tail, they grow back a tail.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's a lizard. I'm not sure. And so that was one of the ones that they were trying to help grow back.
Yeah. So that's the selling point.
Yeah.
That's the reason why they glorify all of these, mutants, superheroes, all this stuff, to try to get you to idolize these individuals so you could want to be like them, and you think it's cool. You're not realizing that you're going to damn your soul, right? Stiff price to pay for 30 or 40 years of power.
If we do this to ourselves, this is a choice. You are willing to do this to yourself. You are turning yourself into a chimera.
Mm-hmm.
And thus you will lose your nefesh.
You will lose your nefesh. You'll make yourself irredeemable, and your name will not be found in the book of life in the time of judgment, because you will no longer belong to God. Because God programmed this planet already with everything that he created. The things that the fallen angels are creating are not what he's created. You belong to Lucifer at that point. Right now, you belong to God. But if you change your DNA, you will belong to Lucifer. There's only two directions you can go when you pass away. Remember that. So who you devote your soul to is very important. And you can mess up big time. So this is what's going to happen. And that's the selling point. Now, a lot of people aren't going to fall for it. What's going to happen is eventually it's going to become very totalitarian, where they're going to make you do it, right? The Antichrist is going to make you do it on the pretenses of security.
Even if you're made to do something, you still have a choice. Now, it's not, this makes me think of the COVID shot.
Yeah.
If you didn't take it, either you lost your job, like your job was threatened, you were fired or laid off, and you had people up in arms and people were hostile towards you. There's different theories. Everyone has a different theory, and maybe part of the reason for these different theories are purposely put out there to like give us disinformation so that we don't recognize the mark of the beast when it actually happens. But one of the theories, the alternate theories, is that it's going to be like a microchip, like how they're talking about chipping you so that you'll start like you'll scan your wrist or whatever to pay for things and whatever. That's one of the theories, that's the mark of the beast. But you don't think that, right? You don't think it's technology. You think it's like literal beast DNA, like animal DNA.
Well, here's the thing. They probably will be able to microchip you after that, because microchips don't last too long in the human body. The human body, the immune system will either kick it out or destroy it. Animals can be microchipped. So the thing is, so going back to what we were saying, COVID was the trial run. These individuals, the controllers, Luciferians, they just don't do things, they rehearse. Like the military, perfect example, we constantly drill combat so that when we get out there, we know what to do. They're doing the same thing here. So what's going to happen is we've already had the precursor run with an RNA manipulator. The next will be a precursor run with a DNA manipulator. But they will unleash something that's going to be far worse when the horseman of pestilence comes out, which was warned about in Revelations. It's all in Revelations. You can all look it up. When that comes out, the only cure is going to be is to manipulate your DNA, to mix it with something. Because there's certain diseases and plagues that can only affect animals and certain diseases and plagues that can only affect humans. They're going to create something that can kill both. Their answer is to turn you into both so that the plague doesn't recognize you. This is my theory. Because you're going to be something else totally different. You're not going to be animal. You're not going to be human. You're going to be immune. So then what's going to happen at that point is the same thing we saw during COVID. You want to work, you want to buy, sell, and trade, like the Bible warns you, then you need this mark. They're not going to let you go to the grocery store unless you have the mark. Not going to let you travel unless you have the mark. Not going to let you work unless you have the mark. The same thing we saw during COVID will be done on a global scale at the pretenses of your safety for the disease that they are going to release from this laboratory. Now, there is something good that comes out of this. And the good thing is that the Bible warns that if you have faith in God and you hold on at the very end, when it's all over, you'll be in the golden kingdom with Jesus in paradise.
Even though they're going to make it nearly impossible for you to say no and not do it. They're going to blackmail you. They're going to shame you.
And God's going to put out a warning. You're going to hear the trumpet putting out a warning. Everyone's going to hear the warning. Don't do it. You have to choose at that point. Do I choose Lucifer or do I choose God? The choice for God's going to be a rough one at first. Not going to lie to you. It's not going to be easy. And the Antichrist is control the planet. We have 7 years of hell to deal with on Earth. Hell on Earth. It's going to be awful. But in the end, it'll be worth it. I promise you that.
Man, 7 years is a long time. When you think about COVID, we only had to deal with that for like 2 years, right?
It felt like an eternity.
It was so hard.
Yeah, they're putting, that's what all this is for. It's putting everything into place for this. They got a more vicious disease that's about to come out. And it's going to kill so many people. It's going to kill so many people. They're waiting. And it's going to come out and it's going to F up the world. And there's a huge warning about it. It's going to kill probably a third of the population. So get ready for that. It will probably happen in our lifetime. I'm anticipating it'll happen in our lifetime. And just stay firm in your love for Jesus. No matter what you see, what are terrors you see transpire, stay firm. Protect your soul at all costs, because that's what they want. They want your soul because they know how valuable it is. All of this effort that they're putting billions, trillions of dollars, this giant network, all of this is to get your soul. So if they're willing to put all of this all these resources into getting your soul, understand that your soul is valuable. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Kelly, for that question. I hope we answered
that
it.
answers it. Yeah. You had some good points. Yeah.
I try.
Yeah. I know the Bible isn't your thing, but you did a really good job there interpreting it.
Well, I also don't know a lot about military and stuff, but I see these random interviews and they always just stick in the back of my mind, like a little filing cabinet. Like I'm just like, file that away for later. Like that's interesting. So, well, yeah, I remember it was probably a few years ago that I saw some interview about adding the animal DNA for super soldiers. And I was just like, yeah, it sounds cool. They make it sound cool.
Oh, make it sound real cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So that always stuck in the back of my mind. That was a few years ago. I haven't heard anything new about it since. I'm waiting for it. But, like, I feel like, what do you think? What is your experience when it comes to the military? How long does the military have something in development and actually using it before it then gets rolled out?
About 20 or 30 years. What the public sees, the military's already had for years. Like biometrics.
That's a long time.
Yeah. Like biometrics is like coming out now and everyone's like, this is so cool. Me and my unit were using that.
Like I was thinking maybe 10 years.
Yeah. Me and my unit were using that in our
But you're right,
combat
because
tours.
even if you think about computers,
Yeah.
the huge computers that they used, I mean, they were ginormous. Like you think about like NASA and whatever, and
Yeah.
aerospace and stuff. They were ginormous computers. We didn't get computers till the 90s.
Mhm.
And that was in the 50s.
Yeah.
They had those so they didn't roll. Yeah. So that's decades.
Decades, many decades. The government and the controllers got to make sure that whatever they have is better than us so they can outmaneuver us, right? So before we release it to the public, we got to make sure that ours is many generations ahead. That's why if you try to hack a government computer, it's usually going to cause hell because their computers are far more advanced than the ones that you can buy.
Yeah.
So they're far more advanced.
Like they already have the quantum computers.
Yeah, they already have quantum computers. So
those are just now being rolled out to us. Like they're trying to refine it, but they're not on the same gen we are.
No, they're way ahead of us. So it's just as basically to maintain control. I mean, they can't give us the same technology because then it'd be really hard to maintain control. If we had the same equal footing, we would be able to undermine them if we wanted to. It makes sense to maintain order. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And here's another thing. We think we're in control of the AI that we use. AI has boomed over the last few years, and every major company has their own AI running things in the background, and everyone has their own version of AI. But do not fool yourself into thinking you control that. Just because you type in a prompt and it spits out a command, it ultimately was created by the government for the government. They use it to monitor you. They'll use it to sell you products. They know what you're asking about. They're also monitoring if you say something inappropriate, something that gets flagged, like the AI will report that back. Don't think it won't, So if you're asking, certain things, you might get a knock on your door. Just watch out.
Okay, conspiracy theory territory, huh?
Yes.
Remember what Jesus says, render unto Caesar what is his. So don't mess with the government. Just leave them alone. Do what they want to do. They're going to destroy themselves. So I'm not even worried about them. I don't even think about fighting them or doing anything like that. The Bible already says they're going to destroy themselves. So what more could you ask for? Just worry about what Jesus teaches you. Render unto Caesar what is his. And that means obey the law, pay your taxes, and don't cause any trouble, and you'll be fine.
All right. And with that, again, a friendly reminder that these episodes come out every second and fourth Wednesday. And we have our other show, Occult Pop, comes out every first and third Wednesday.
Whoa, another show.
Yeah.
We have another. Oh.
It's not new anymore.
Oh, okay.
We're like on our 6th or 7th episode. We're getting there.
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
2 shows. I feel like Tom Cruise. I'm all over the place now.
Well, here's the thing. When we first started planning out this podcast, The Veil Between, we wanted to talk about the media. We wanted to talk about like a correlating book or movie or TV show in every single episode. And we quickly, I think from episode 1, we were like, oh, this will be a very long episode.
Yeah.
We couldn't fit it in.
Yeah.
So that's how Occult Pop came to be, because we were like, we still want to do that. That was part of our initial shtick that we were trying to iron out and put in our show. And so we were like, no, we still want to do it. So that's how Occult Pop came about, that we were like, we want to give them, especially since we're not doing The Veil Between every single week.
Yeah.
That we were like, okay, we need to give our listeners, our faithful baddies, something more to wet their whistle between episodes. Now y'all know that's how we came up with that, because we had always had plans to do that. We just didn't have the time in each episode. So I'm having a lot of fun with that. Okay. And so just, again, join our Discord, talk with like-minded people, have those great conversations. The more, the merrier. We are just a giant family. A lot of weirdos and kookies, and they're our type of people.
Our type of people. We love you guys. Yeah, a lot of brilliant minds too.
You have to have an open mind.
Yeah.
And in having an open mind, you are a very smart individual. You tend to be more self-taught, curious about the world and the way things work, and not so stringent in what you just learned from school.
Yeah. Not open-minded in the sense of being gullible, but open-minded in the sense of
curiosity,
learning, wanting to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of like Chad and Kelly, perfect example of two amazing questions today.
Yeah.
So very smart people. Yeah.
Definitely. And get on the book club. All these things are free, guys. We are not charging for any of this. Discord is free. Book club is free. So our book club is on Fable, and our current read is Occult America by Mitch Horowitz.
Good book. Really good book.
It's a fascinating read. It's taking a while for me to get through it personally. It's a heavy read. It's very dense. So I'm taking my time. We're all taking our time. So it's not too late to join. If you would like to send in questions, suggest a topic, you can either put it in Discord. We have threads for those, or you can email us privately at theveilbetweenpodcast@gmail.com.
And there's no question too absurd. It's and dealing with the occult, spirituality, anything like that. Let's explore it.
Yeah, and if you would like to remain anonymous, just say so in the email. Just say, please don't use my name.
Yeah, just respect that too.
Yeah. If you guys want to help us out, if you're enjoying the show, it would mean so much if you like, share, subscribe, leave reviews, leave ratings. It will help us out so much. Share it with people that you think would also find these topics fascinating. We're just trying to spread the word, trying to help educate people. So anything that you could do like that would be a huge help, especially with the reviews.
Yeah.
And with that, you can find me at Arcana District on Instagram and TikTok, and also on those platforms on the links where you have the links on the bios, including on our YouTube. You will find our new stand store. So if you would like to set up a call with us, you can now set up a call with us, schedule a call where we can talk about what you're going through, if you're having any experiences, if you need help, if you need guidance, or if you just need to talk to somebody who will not judge you, who will listen to you and say, you are not crazy. This is real. You can do that. So there's a schedule feature. You can go ahead and schedule that. There is a questionnaire that you will fill out beforehand that it goes in depth. We want to make sure we understand exactly what you're going through, and then we'll go through it with you on the call for next steps. So we don't just jump to, you need to hire us and you need us to go out there and we need to do a full cleansing. No, we are here to educate you, to empower you, to take the steps yourself to protect yourself. So
Well said.
That's the first line of defense. And on that link, you'll also find our free download, our free beginner psychic shield. Again, it's free PDF download, 2 to 3 pages. I think this one's 2 pages. Gets straight to the point, tells you exactly what to do to start protecting yourself now. Absolutely free. So we're, again, here to educate you. And then our other no fluff handbooks are also there for purchase. So everything's like a one-stop shop.
Yeah, well said.
And you are?
I'm at Guy Quintero on Instagram and TikTok. And I'm always have an open door to anyone who wants to talk.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode, and we will see you on the next one.
Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, everyone.